What is up, everybody? It is Wednesday. DFSarmy pre-lock show. Um, as Tattoo pointed out last week, it is still technically pre-lock, but it is earlier in the day. I have commitments on Wednesdays ending soon, hopefully tonight, but we might get rained out by the looks of it. So we are here to talk about the main slate this evening, a main slate that is different on each site because why not?
Of course.
FanDuel decided to include the four earlier / turbo games to make it an 11 game main slate. DraftKings kept the traditional start time, 6:07 Central, for a 7 game slate. So up on the screen, I will be looking at FanDuel to start out because we do have those 4 additional games to try to look at. But Tattoo, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. People watching today will get to watch me research in real time. So, because I'm getting ready to do the
Perfect.
DraftKings main slate.
I did not fully dive into the main slate because I am not covering notes and I'm going to play basically 1 or 2 hand-built lineups, and that's it. But I don't know. You kind of get a first look reaction from me. I have an idea of what's going on. I know the Milwaukee and A's game has a massive run total. There still is a series in Coors. Chris Sale taking on his former team. Max Scherzer against a team that hits a lot of home runs when they're on. Probably not a great thing for Max Scherzer. Early slate, you get Detroit warming up against essentially a Minnesota Twins bullpen game. Probably feels like one where you want to take some Detroit Tigers. Anything else kind of stick out for you as far as first looks go?
You kind of touched on it about Max Scherzer. Sorry, I got a big splinter in my knuckle. Not only does Max Scherzer like to give up home runs, he likes to give them up to Phillies batters. Harper has 3 home runs against him. JT Realmuto has 2, and Schwarber has 2 off of him.
Yeah, as he's gotten older, home runs have become more and more of an issue because he just doesn't have the same stuff to get strikeouts from those locations. So it is super interesting. Philadelphia does have a pretty strong total. Might go overlooked a little bit because we do have the new king of offensive performances in Las Vegas.
Whew.
75
and it was a letdown.
Yeah. It's only a letdown when you compare it to the first game, obviously.
Yeah.
But as you see, tonight's total is higher than last night's total. Roughly a run and a half higher. But it's just ideal. I've done a lot of back and forth with some people that live in Vegas and stuff. It's like the dry heat just allows the ball to go farther. They're talking about their golf swings in Vegas and how their ball carries about a full club farther in Vegas than it does in one of the guys said in Hawaii even. So that just tells you like the ball just carries in Vegas, and it helps to be above sea level. But I think when you add that in with the fact that they have that dry air, kind of like Arizona does, I also pointed out when you look at spring training games, the Cactus League in Arizona, like the run totals in those spring training games are roughly like 3 to 3.5 runs higher than the Grapefruit League in Florida. It's just because the ball goes places.
Yeah.
I saw Ballpark Pal send out the full breakdown of all the home runs hit in that series so far. And really just over half of them were legitimate home runs. The other half were questionable or no chance at home runs in other parks. I think there are 3 or 4 that were borderline, and then a few that definitely weren't happening in most ballparks. And then Jonah Heim's home run that's happening only in Little League stadiums. It's like a 48-degree launch angle and like 92 mile per hour exit velocity or something. It basically was a pop-up. And it wasn't wind aided. Like, it's not like they're saying that the wind was blowing everything out. It's just the ball just kept going. So that's going to draw all the ownership. I haven't looked at any ownership projections, but I can only assume it's Brewers and A's, and then Cubs with some Rockies, right?
Cubs. Right. Cubs are the top 3. Then Milwaukee, more Cubs. Then the A's, Milwaukee mixed in with Texas. You got to go down to get somebody other than Cub, A's, Texas, or, Milwaukee. Go down to Lane Thomas before you hit another.
Yeah, that Texas-Kansas City game is interesting to some people. I still don't necessarily believe that it's full-blown offensive park now. The weather says it should be, because I think the total in that is 10 as well. Tonight's action really has 3 games for sure with a double-digit total, and I think 2 other games that can approach a double-digit total once we get to first pitch. So, like, on FanDuel, because that includes the Detroit-Minnesota game. On DK, you're looking at 3 or 4 games with double-digit totals.
I was going to say Philadelphia was the first Philly. The first Philly was Bryce Harper at like 6-something%.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Harper to be high owned because you have Michael Busch in Coors, and you have Nick Kurtz. On FanDuel, you have Soderstrom as first base eligible, Jake Bauers. There's just a bunch of first base eligible guys on FanDuel, and then obviously on DK, but still. A lot of the ownership is going to jump into the Busch and Kurtz area. Let's switch over to – feel just so much more comfortable looking at DraftKings. So, but we're going to have to go back and forth kind of just because of the 4 additional games.
Baltimore on that.
I suppose Bauers is projected to be higher owned than Kurtz because Bauers has dual eligibility on DK. So that'll help increase it. But, I mean, even Jake Berger ahead of Bryce Harper. I expect at every position it's basically going to be a Coors player or a Las Vegas player as the highest projected owned.
Absolutely.
Bregman, Nico
the only
Horner,
exception I could see would be Steger.
PCA, Jake Bauers, Churio, Happ. Then you get down to Wyatt Langford and Jock Peterson. Who is pitching for the Royals? Is it Lugo?
Right when I switched off.
It is Lugo. It is Seth Lugo. So the numbers say that you should be unique and try to fade both those games. I think it's going to be really tough to fade 4 teams, especially on DK. But, man, it's just really tough to ignore what the balls hit in the air do in Las Vegas. I feel much better about fading Coors than I do about the Las Vegas game. I was trying to look at like Coors weather is decent for home runs too. Like, I mean, it's in the upper 80s. The wind's kind of blowing across the field from left field, so it's not necessarily helping a whole lot, which is fine because I'm not. Again, like I say it a lot, I don't play Coors because I'm home run hunting.
Yeah.
But you play Las Vegas because you're home run hunting, right? But also in game one, it wasn't just home runs. Yes, there were 11 home runs hit, but there were 30-some hits in that game too. And that was a game started by Kyle Harrison, who's been, equally as impressive as Mizorowski has been for the Brewers, right? Like, Harrison's been phenomenal. So I think for me, if I'm picking one of the two games, it's Las Vegas, right? The A's and Brewers.
Yeah.
We both were on the Rockies more than the Cubs yesterday. Is that the case tonight?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I would rather play Shota in a build than Lorenzen. So, like, I have to choose the Cubs over the Rockies tonight. Shota does have fly ball issues, but that's usually, when he gets wind involved is when he starts giving up a bunch of home runs, which has been his recent trend. If it's right-handed bats against him, fly balls, I don't necessarily think it's going to be a home run issue tonight, which then tells me, like, Shota could be a sneaky upside option. And as you see, I think I have DraftKings up right now. Shota, sub 7%. I'd much rather play Shota even in Coors than play Max Scherzer, who right now is drawing only almost 12% ownership on DK. I would rather play Shota in Coors than Austin Warren, who's drawing almost 15% ownership for the New York Mets. Even though, has he not really only been an opener? Like, I feel like he started ahead of, like, Minaya and ahead of Jonah Tong recently.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring that up here while I'm waiting here. Confirmed recent performances. Yeah. Last time out was his first 2-inning in about a month. He's topped out at 41 pitches, so he's definitely going to be an opener. So I see Peterson as the projected long reliever. I don't really want to play Peterson unless I absolutely have to either.
Yeah, no. I only wrote up. Well, I haven't written up, but I listed 7 pitchers for DK tonight.
Quick look at it. I think I would list probably 7, maybe 8. Because I'm including
Shota might be your 8.
Including Davis Martin, because the Braves are without Acuna.
Yeah, I have him.
I always play Mackenzie Gore. That'd probably be the one that you could debate not playing. And then Payante and up. Like, I'd play Lambert against the Angels because I'm attacking K upside. Payante just because, like, I just don't think the Mets are dangerous, and we just saw Dustin May perform really well last night. And then, like, I'm always playing Luzardo because he's like Mackenzie Gore and just has those massive upside games. So does Reed Detmers. To me, Chris Sale needs to be higher owned. I don't care that he's 11K. I understand people need money to play Coors and Las Vegas, but I just think Chris Sale is far and away the best pitching option on the slate. Like, projection-wise, he's 4 points ahead of the 3.5, I guess, because Davis Martin, I missed that, but 3.5 to 4 points ahead of the second highest projected scoring pitcher.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a considerable
you got
gap.
Reed Dittmers at 7,500. I think that kind of levels it out.
Yeah, he's just super chalk.
Yeah.
He's so it's tough to rely on Detmers as super chalky. I think Shota is an interesting pivot away from the Reed Detmers chalk. I think Shota is an interesting pivot away from Jesus Luzardo chalk. Thing working for Jesus Luzardo is Toronto's looked horrendous at the plate in the series. Like, I get it, it's Christopher Sanchez and then Zach Wheeler. But stuff-wise, Luzardo is up there similar to them. Just overall skill-wise, he might not be as consistent as those two guys. But stuff-wise, he can rival them, so he can do what they've done. But that also comes with walk issues, home run issues. So it's a really interesting slate from a pitching perspective.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch over to FanDuel here because I think there's a couple extra guys that become in play over there. At least I thought so. So you have Shohei. The Pirates do strike out. So, like, I'd be playing Shohei at pitcher.
Yeah.
He's expensive. He's cheaper than Sale over there. I think George Kirby's in play.
They do have ironically, my buddy's going to the game this afternoon, or whatever. And I was telling him, I was like, well, maybe you'll see a lot of dingers because a bunch of Orioles have good history versus Kirby. That was just a random game I looked up on Monday, and I just remember there was some better history.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that Framber Valdez is so high owned. It is a good spot, I think. The weather in Detroit is pretty good for offense, and Framber's chalk has kind of become pretty bad. But I mean, it is weird to see Luzardo and Framber as the two highest owned on FanDuel. There isn't really a whole lot of value options. Like Davis Martin's almost 11K. I don't think I can play Davis Martin on FanDuel tonight. Like, if I'm going to pay 11K, it's going to be for Shohei or Chris Sale and not Davis Martin.
What about even though he doesn't get a ton of strikeouts, but Davis Martin, Brandon Young?
I don't think I'm going to Brandon Young.
And I get it, I guess, because on FanDuel you don't need to. If he was on DK, I think he might be in play.
I mean, I generally do pick on Seattle with pitching because of the K upside, but I don't really know that Brandon Young's somebody that I want to rely on. But
yeah, I definitely get that with son of a bitch. Cedeno Rafael, home run. No? I wrote him up, and I could barely think of anything to say for him this morning. I was like, oh, well, he does have an OPS of 700 or something.
Well, that's because Tampa Bay's stupid and had a left-handed pitcher face Rafaela. Like, at the major league level, that's basically the only way that Rafaela has succeeded is anytime he faces a left-handed pitcher. After Drew Rasmussen just absolutely dominated and struck him out 3 times. Shows you how intelligent some managers aren't. It pains me to say it, but I'm pretty sure tonight's slate is just won by your hitters.
Yeah, I think we were saying that last night. Kind of get your, which maybe last night didn't completely prove to be that. But.
Yeah. It does feel similar to last night, pitching wise. Because last night I felt pretty good about Zach Wheeler, about Chase Burns. But then like the field wanted to go super punt. Dustin May was there and did fine.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like the same route. I don't feel as good about super punt options unless we're going back to St. Louis again. That's 6,800. God. The DK main slate just is rougher for pitching than the FanDuel. Obviously, those 4 additional games really help FanDuel out a bit in that regard.
It's funny, except for maybe like Shohei or whatever, like the pitchers are more viable if you could use them on DK.
Right.
Than they are to use on FanDuel.
Yeah. So from a hitting standpoint, we have the super chalky games with the massive totals, right?
Yeah.
What are you doing to get different with those teams? Or like, I guess, are you fading any of them completely? Are you just trying to pivot within those teams? Are you trying to just mini stack them rather than full stack them?
I think I will probably just fade the Cubs again and, get rid of that chalk. If I got any, the Cubs would probably be like somebody I might try to one off from. Like maybe take Hap as my one off. But it's tough because, like we talk about, hey, your one off needs to be so and so expensive. And it's like, well, how am I going to afford the stacks I want if I'm using salary on my one off?
Right.
But, yeah, it probably, like I said, I'd probably fade the Cubs. Then where are they at? Sorry, our brain completely locked up on me. I still, again, think it's almost impossible to avoid Milwaukee and the A's. To get different, and it'd be tough, is Philadelphia, and then maybe get my pieces from the A's Milwaukee with the 2 and 1 off. But you're gonna have to pay for expensive Philly bets if you want. So
yeah,
I think it's gonna be getting different within those stacks.
It's easiest to stack the A's, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, like looking at price point wise compared to, I don't know, the Cubs and the Brewers, really. But especially just compared to the Brewers, it is easier to stack the A's. They're actually cheaper overall.
Yeah, really just got what Kurtz and Shea to pay up for.
Soderstrom, yeah. I mean, Soderstrom's probably not as expensive as he should be.
Yeah, he's still under 5,000.
But like, yeah, the Brewers have 6 guys in the projected lineup more expensive than Soderstrom is.
Including
They have
criminal.
They have 5 guys that are 5,400 or more. So they have 3 guys that are more expensive than Shea is. So they're projected at lower ownership than the Brewers by first glance of it, as I'm trying to compare. So right away there is like the A's are the contrarian side of that game, not by much, but it's still lower ownership in that game for the A's than it is the Brewers. So like that automatically gets you there. The Cubs have more ownership than the A's, and it looks like more ownership than the Brewers.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just really weird. Like I get Lorenz has been absolutely the worst pitcher in baseball when he pitches at home, but also this Cubs offense has been pretty bad for a month plus now. I mean, PCA and Michael Busch feel pretty good, but still. Do you like Nats and D-backs? Aren't the Nats playing today?
They're definitely playing early.
They're playing in San Francisco, right? I don't like the Nats in San Francisco against Robbie Ray.
They play at 3:45.
I like the D-backs against Ryan Gusto. Like Corbin Carroll's probably a pretty strong everything. To be fair, he probably should have been my dinger call today. But I put mine in earlier and I forgot who it was. Oh, now I remember.
I'm going to Jackson.
My dinger call is taking on a pitcher that gives up 2.8 home runs per 9.
Ooh.
Yeah, I definitely like the D-backs more than the Marlins. I really like Corbin Carroll in that matchup. But, I mean, Ryan Nelson's not some guaranteed option either. But I think, isn't he the one that's had – yeah, he's been really good on the road. So it fits for him today. He's been absolutely atrocious when he pitches at home, which is really weird. But, yeah, I
was just looking at something. Seth Lugo projected to give up the most home runs tonight.
Projections just really love that ballpark, and I don't understand it. We haven't seen it yet. Like, yes, I get they moved in the fences, and it gets warm there and stuff, but I feel like there were a bunch of games last year that had double-digit totals that just were mediocre. And plus, it's Texas. Like, you're projecting Texas to hit a bunch of home runs, just doesn't seem to make sense to me. But you mentioned the Phillies. We both mentioned the Phillies. Talk about their ownership numbers. They look pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, there's pretty low projected ownership for the Phillies bats.
I said Bryce was the highest at 6%.
Yeah. Schwarber at just 2.6%. When everybody else is spending up for the Las Vegas game, there's a pivot for you, right? Like fade Yelich or Churio in your Milwaukee stack in the outfield and play Schwarber in their spot. Like if you're forcing in a Milwaukee Brewers stack, just put Schwarber in instead of one of the two high-priced Brewers outfielders. And there you get unique with your high Brewers ownership. In fact, that makes me want to build that exact scenario like right now, so that I don't forget it.
Do it.
But
Schwarber is 17 at bats, 235 average, 2 home runs versus Mad Max, or at this age, the grumpy Max.
right.
I'm a bit perturbed, Max. I've become agitated. I'm going to throw this mouse out the effing window. Not baseball related, Raz, but you would enjoy my redneck activity over the last few evenings. I've been trying to burn down a tree stump, and I just keep going out there and putting firewood on it and burning it. I've almost got it down to the ground now. It's taken over a week.
You don't want to show off your strength and just go out there with an axe each night and chop away at it?
That was my arthritis, because I'd probably have about 3 swings in me before I have to lay down and cry about my wrist.
Sounds like a good workout.
Yeah. My shoulder, every time I'm doing anything for more than 4 or 5 seconds, you can hear the bones start. I'm falling apart.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
my back would lock up on the first swing with an axe, so like I'd end up on my knee anyway. So
yeah, I'd probably come over.
Of the, let's just say the early 4 games, since they're not on DK, which team are you stacking first? Are you following the projected total for Detroit?
I actually really like that Orioles Seattle game. My mouse is not working, but I believe that had I was outshined by all the other games. And let me jump to the actual weather.
Is Adley hurt?
I don't know. I don't.
Because the Orioles lineup just came out and Huff is catching again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's definitely Detroit. And then it might be Arizona before the Dodgers. Like, Jared Jones has a really terrific arm, but like he's super volatile coming back from surgery.
Yeah.
But the problem is you don't get to use Shohei in Dodger stacks. Like, that's my biggest issue. Like, I still would want to stack the Dodgers, but they lose priority for me because of that. Like,
Yeah.
because they legitimately could put up 10 runs, and Shohei could be involved in half of them. And then that just destroys your stack. Like, you're forced to pay Shohei is the issue.
It's going to be in the 80s with 88% humidity during a game. Similar to like Cleveland today.
I don't think there's been like one home run hit in Cleveland today. I mean, the Yankees have 8 runs. Do they have a home run in that?
They looked like there were similar numbers when I was just looking.
Come on.
Hot as shit in Detroit.
Yeah.
Hot as shit in Kansas City. Oh, God. it was Chop. There was a old saying, or it was something. The Japanese, I cannot remember his name for Seattle, but asked him about his American English or whatever, and it was something about two somethings fighting in a wool sock hotter than some, and it was about Kansas City. Chop knew it. He knew the same. It popped in my head because we had a off the rails tangent last season about it. But yeah, for those first 4 games, I do like Seattle, Baltimore. I actually like Baltimore better. And like you said, Detroit.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in stacking Minnesota a little bit against Framber, just because his issues are he just allows a lot of base runners, and then all it takes is one swing, and he's given up a bunch of runs. And obviously Minnesota's playing in the same weather that Detroit is, so they're probably going to be a team that gets overlooked on FanDuel because you have all those big totals. So, I mean, for me, it's, I don't know. I almost feel like on FanDuel skipping those first 4 games too. Because I want to play Philadelphia. I want to play Milwaukee, the A's. I kind of want to play the Cubs more than the Rockies. I want to play a little bit of the Texas-Kansas City game.
Those first 4 games, the most viable asset would probably be Shohei as your pitcher.
Yeah, Shohei is a pitcher. Corbin Carroll is a one-off. Riley Green, Kerry Carpenter as a mini stack maybe. But then also you think, is most of the field going to do that same thing and skip those first 4 games?
Yeah.
So is there leverage to be had somewhere in them? And maybe there is. On most slates like that, those first 4 games have 5 of the 8 teams with 4.5 runs or higher. Those are normally pretty strong implied run totals per team. It looks bad just because we have so many higher on the DK main slate. So I don't know.
Taylor Ward has 3 home runs off of Kirby.
It seems really odd.
It's 30 at bats. Henderson's about 7 for 16 with a home run off of Kirby.
That's
Alonso 3 for 5 with a home run.
There we go. We got the leverage stacks to update ownership. I had to do some investigating in the background there, but now we can see it. This is DraftKings, right?
Yeah.
The Rangers sneak in between Las Vegas and Colorado games. Seems really weird to me. Philadelphia far too low owned for me on this slate.
I remember you mentioning them, I feel like, but I'm assuming you wouldn't have any interest in the White Sox. But would you have interest in the Braves?
I'd sprinkle in Braves far more than the White Sox.
Yeah. With no Acuna. Yeah.
Sale feels like one of those guys that wants to go into Chicago and just absolutely dominate. because of I think he hates that franchise. And Sale is definitely one of those pitchers that hold grudges for a long time. Like he's just one of those angry guys. Plus, I mean, with the White Sox, I feel like if you really want to pick on Sale, like you just play Grichuk and Miguel Vargas and just take a 2-man and hope that it's good enough.
Yeah, Grichuk had a little BVP there.
Well, and Grichuk with the White Sox is destroying left-handed pitchers.
Yeah.
Couldn't get a job with the Yankees, but then all of a sudden he ends up in Chicago and he can't stop hitting left-handed pitching. Toronto's pretty low for taking on a guy that can get blown up in Luzardo. Not that I trust them at all offensively. Switching over to FanDuel just because it gives us all of the games. Massive separation. And this is the case because I say it in my pitching video, is you generally can stack whoever you want on FanDuel. Like pricing isn't tight enough. So you get Milwaukee and the A's with massive ownership. Then the Cubs, then Texas, then Detroit. Then you get down to Kansas City and Colorado. But even Detroit at 50% combined, that's 5.5% per Detroit bat in the lineup. Less than that even. The Dodgers are pretty low for being the Dodgers. Your Baltimore is pretty low down there. 8.5% feels pretty low for that offense. Very interesting to see the Cubs as the number one leverage team.
Yeah.
The Dodgers are the number 3 on FanDuel, which makes sense because they're only combined for less than 25%. I don't know, it sucks Cedric because Mullins. What's that?
It happened a while back, but I saw Cedric Mullins hit a home run. Now Caleb Durbin just hit his second.
Yeah. When's the last time you saw 13 teams out of 22 have implied run totals of 4.5 or greater?
Whew. I'd say it's been a while.
That's a lot of runs being projected to be put up tonight.
Maybe sometime in the middle of last summer or something when it was scorching hot.
Yeah, I'm sure there probably were a couple slates last year. I just don't remember noticing that.
Yeah.
So it should be an offensive night at the ballpark, to be honest.
Somebody's outside my house. My dog has 3 distinctive noises she makes, and I know what each one means as far as does she want something from me? Is someone here that she doesn't know?
Mm-hmm.
Or something she does know? We're about 45 minutes in.
Yeah, I suppose.
And I still got to do my notes here.
How about you just go through and give your
positions
favorites at each position?
Um, I mean, I'm a basic bitch. Catcher is Shea. To be different, I'll say Bryce Harper at first base, even though, I mean, there's tons more options that are even better. Second base, Altuve has a great history. If you don't use Detmers, I just will probably be using Detmers. Third base, not with the obvious or whatever, but I like Josh Young. Shortstop, Corey Seager, which is not crazy. These guys are chalky. But, outfield, if we didn't go with the obvious, I like Jock Peterson, Kyle Schwarber, and they would be my favorites probably. Yordi, if you didn't use Detmers.
I think at catcher overall tonight, my favorite's probably Dylan Dingler. We didn't really talk about him, but like the guy just keeps hitting home runs.
Yeah, they had two last night again.
Yeah, I don't love chasing the 2 home runs last night, but he's just been hitting home runs, so it doesn't feel like I'm chasing multi-home run games. So if I'm trying to go with a catcher outside of them, it's probably Dingler. I'm looking at FanDuel since we're covering all 11 games. You know, he's not really an option on the DK main slate.
Yeah.
First, tough. So many dudes to try to use tonight, really.
I was glad to see Jock back in the outfield.
I mean, Matt Olson doubled on yesterday, can follow it up again. Freddie Freeman, massive upside at low ownership. Those two guys make a ton of sense. If you're trying to get different from the obvious games, you know, I'm with you on Bryce Harper. Like, he should be far greater owned than he is. Second base, I think, is just terrible right now. Give me Bryson Stott. Like a low-owned way to pick on Scherzer.
Yeah.
Third base, man. Maybe Isaac Paredes and his power, even though it's Reed Detmers, and I like Detmers a little bit. Otherwise, like on DK, I'm probably playing Hamilton for the Brewers. It's chalky, but playing him at one of these two positions, third base or shortstop. With you on the Seager side of things. Trey Turner makes sense. Bryson Stott can be played at shortstop as well. I guess like non-chalk games, it probably ends up being Gunnar Henderson if you're playing the early slate for FanDuel. Outfield, my flag plant's going to be Kyle Schwarber, really, because there's no way he should be so low owned. When he can do exactly what the people do in the Vegas game, right?
Yeah.
So it's just straight up leverage is why Schwarber's like my flag plant. Pretty much everybody else in that, you know, especially in the Vegas game, make a ton of sense. Maybe Brent Rooker might not, because he's kind of been off for most of the year. I know he hit a couple home runs recently, but then he's been out of the lineup a couple times the last week too. I mean, I'm never really playing Sal Frelick. I don't care. So like, he's a piece of Milwaukee that I don't want to play at 19% ownership on FanDuel. I try to drop down in ownership, so then it's like Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green are my two other guys. Like, so those two to be different.
like you were talking about Kyle Schwarber and the ownership. And, I think another case could be made for the same person in Yordan Alvarez at 0.69% ownership,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too.
I'd more likely go with Schwarber.
Right.
You could put Juan Soto in that boat, less than 2% ownership.
Corbin Carroll at 2.4% ownership. Yeah.
Want to get funny? George Springer, cheaper.
Yeah, the outfield feels like a good spot to get different and away from the Vegas guys.
And Yaz is in the lineup. That's always intriguing.
He's so tough to figure out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of it. We're 51 minutes in. Obviously, earlier show today. I kind of expect most of the people to view it on kind of demand in an hour and a half, or whenever they become available. So
yeah.
Obviously not around tomorrow. We'll be back on Friday around 4:00 Central Time, I do believe. If you are not a member of DFS Army and you want to join us for just MLB information, etc., there's a link in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ or Tattoo for 10% off monthly. If you want 20% off monthly for your membership and you want to get access to NFL as well, use the VIP Core 4. Or if you want NFL only for some best ball stuff, etc., Best Ball 2026. If you are members of DFS Army, hit up everybody in Discord. I won't be around this evening if you do tag me. So your best chances are to tag Tattoo or Darth. I don't know who's coaching.
Darth.
But they're the two that are doing the sheets for this evening, so they'll be able to help out more than I will. As always, best of luck tonight. Helmets up, and we will see you on Friday.
Ezekiel Duran home run. Woo!
Got the best coaches in the game. We really ain't playing. We regroup up in the Slack chat where the coaches debrief. We be piecing these puzzles, occupy the chunk of the pie. Ain't no lie when we hit the block. Helmet's casket is top. You be seeing helmet after helmet, helmet after helmet. First place, second place, fifth place, eighth place, 12th place, 15, 16, 20. So many helmets, you got blurred vision. We got too many. Get your check. Oh man, shit. They got us fucked up. Army, regroup. We pledge always to have that edge. We don't fire warning shots. Competition just drop. We locked and loaded before lock. Whatever the time, yeah. Do you even correlate?
Being the best requires a willingness to outwork your competition. There's always someone smarter, faster, sharper, more naturally gifted.